Hello there. Hi, it's Susan K. Morrow-Johnson, your friendly neighborhood MoJo medium. I'm pretty excited today to be here. Very excited for a lot of good reasons, not the least of which is that I am not fully prepared. Um, this is the first time I think that I have sent out the perfect link for everybody to come and look at the broadcast, right? Okay, so usually when I send an email or I set it up on Facebook, I send out a link that just goes to my Facebook page. And today, I actually set it up in BeLive TV, which is easy to do, and had the actual link and sent it to everybody. Woohoo! That's fantastic. Unfortunately, I scheduled it for noon instead of 11. So if you got the link, you didn't get the link to here. You just got a link to something that's not there anymore. So I hope you find me, and I apologize. And I blame it on Mercury retrograde. Hold on one second. I got to do something. I have this very, very high-tech way of watching my own broadcast, and it's very important to do it this way. So yeah, I get it pulled up on my phone, and I have this little frame, and I put this book, this Sudoku book there, and I prop it up like that. And that way I can watch myself and see your comments at the same time. I know, like I said, it's very high tech. All right, where am I? Hello, hello, darling. I have to turn off the sound, and I have to turn off the sound here, and I have to make sure that everything's okay. All right, craziness. I apologize. Like I said, Mercury is still retrograde until tomorrow. And so anything that goes wrong with communications and technology is Mercury's fault, not mine, right? Okay, here we go. We got us up and going. Up. See? I'm going to turn it down. Hi, Allie. Welcome. I love that you're always here with me. Hello, Nicole. You're watching at 2 a.m. Are you in Australia? Let's see here. 11 a.m. here. Yeah, that's about 2 a.m. in Australia. You must be down under. G'day, mate. How are things? That's fantastic. Yeah, you're in Australia. What part of Australia are you in, Nicole? I can't wait to come down and visit you. I'm going to come and visit you and all your friends. Let's see here. G'day. One of my best friends in the world is Nicole. Sorry, a different Nicole. Oh, you're in Sydney. Okay. Well, my other Nicole is in Ourimbah, which is in New South Wales on the Central Coast. And she's an awesome person. And I've never met her in person, but we have Skyped a lot and we have emailed a lot, and we've just had a lot of good times together. She is a Reiki master, and she's done Reiki on me a bunch, and I've given her readings, and I've met her children on Skype, and I can't wait to come down there and meet everybody. So, all right, let's get really rolling. Good morning at 2 a.m. Nicole, I have to say, thank you especially for being here at 2 a.m. Whatever brought you here, if it's insomnia, again, thank you, Mercury retrograde. All right, everybody, welcome to the MoJo Show. Let's see if we can actually make it happen. Oh, that's near me. I just say Sydney as it's easier. Yes. Right. Well, Ourimbah, I don't think anybody in America has ever heard of it except for me, because I know Nicole. And I know she's not far from Sydney. Yeah. So, all right, everybody, welcome to the MoJo Show. Today's topic, I had talked last week, I had talked about maybe talking about shame today, but I didn't feel good about that as I lay in bed all day yesterday with a migraine. I was really, really sick yesterday and miserable, and that's part of why I'm not completely prepared for today, although I am prepared enough. So yesterday, okay, back up. If you watched the show last week, you know that I've been moving ever since then. We closed on our new house a week ago Monday and started moving Tuesday, and the movers came on Wednesday, and then we have been getting settled ever since. And you know how it is when you move. And even though when I left Austin 10 years ago, over the next 5 years, from 2010, did I say 10 years ago? In 2010, I left Austin, and from that point till about 2005 or so, 2015 or so, I was downsizing and getting rid of and clearing out. I call it my 5-year house fire because it took 5 years to get rid of a lot of stuff that I didn't really want to get rid of. And I had to lose things and get rid of things and give things away. And, some crazy stuff happened. By the way, I'm having a homemade mocha. So much cheaper, although not as tasty as Starbucks. And I'm drinking it in my Galveston, Texas mug. Ooh, very lovely. We live about 25 miles from Galveston, 25 minutes from Galveston, maybe not that far. Galveston Bay is about 6 miles from where we live. So we live on the coast. It's kind of cool. We almost live at the beach. It's a beachy beach house. Anyway, you may notice a slightly different background. And with a little luck, one of the cats will come and join me over here, and you'll get to say hello to my kitty. So last week, we moved all week. And even though I had the 5-year house fire, it's still hard to move. Moving sucks. And even though we only moved 2 miles, and so literally I took handfuls of hangers of clothes and laid them in my car, and then came to the new house and took handfuls of hangers of clothes and put them in the closet, which is much easier than having to pack them in a box or fold them or whatever, have the movers move them and then to find them and all. So that honestly, it's a little bit easier way of moving than moving across town. But it's still moving and it still stinks. So you know how that goes. So it finally caught up to me yesterday. I woke up. My cat woke me up at 7, big blue kitty. Woke me up at 7 and a.m. and I had a very full day. I mean, I've got the office almost completely ready to go, and I had a full day of getting back into work because I missed about 3.5, 4 days of work last week, and so I really hadn't gotten nearly enough done, and I really wanted to. And so here I am, and Monday I needed to get up and do a newsletter, and I needed to plan my show and all this, and no, 7 o'clock, cat wakes me up and I've got a raging headache. So I go in there and I take my Imitrex, which usually works great for me. And I just realized Mercury, you dastardly villain. All right. So I woke up at 7. I took my Imitrex and went back to sleep. Woke up at 9, still hurting. Took some more Imitrex, which is allowed. Hi, Melissa. Hello, my shining star. I'm so glad to see you. I was just talking about moving and about how we live at the coast. You live at the coast too. We live on the coast. It's so la-di-da. Anyway, so I took more Imitrex and decided I needed to stay in bed a little longer. Well, about 11 o'clock, nothing. The Imitrex just didn't work for whatever reason. It always does, but this time it just didn't even touch it. So I got up and my daughter had gone to get donuts, bless her. So I choked down a donut even though I was nauseous from the headache. And because sugar sometimes helps. And I know some people will say, oh, have some caffeine. Sorry, I know that makes a noise. People will say, have some caffeine. And I go, oh, well, caffeine's part of my problem. Caffeine is once it wears off, then I get a rebound headache. So I can't do caffeine. Anyway, that's why my coffee is decaf. Whether I get it at home or at Starbucks or in Galveston, it's decaf. It's pretty tasty. Okay. So I took an old Vicodin. I found an old Vicodin in the medicine cabinet, which, yes, I had unpacked, and went back to bed. And I just lay there, and the pain did actually finally go away, but I really couldn't even move. Even after the Vicodin wore off, I still needed a couple more hours to perk back up. So yesterday was a lost day. My husband, Don, just said, you know what? You just needed to rest. You've worked your butt off this last week, and you just needed to rest, which is true. One of the many things I learned during this particular move is that I ain't no spring chicken no more. And that means that my feet are not what they used to be. I have these great feet. I've always had these great cheap feet. I call them cheap feet because I can wear any shoe except for Clark's. Clark's don't fit me. Even though my feet are flat and should cause problems. They don't. They've always been great. Even when I had a job in retail or a job in sales, excuse me, and I was on my feet all day, as long as I wore a little bit of a wedge heel, I was usually okay. And I found that Danskos work really well if you're on your feet a lot. So during this move, I discovered that my feet are not so great anymore. It's really sad. I don't know if I'm going to be able to wear high heels all day, every day like I used to all my life. All my life. But today I've got a little bit, dare I lift my shoe. Okay, that's just tacky. I've got a little heel on today. We'll see how it goes. So far, I'm sitting down. Cheers. Okay, so the title of the show today, the MoJo show, is Gallimaufry. And I know you're going, oh, what the hell is that? Gallimaufry. Yeah, well, I'm gonna define it for you. Don't worry. Oh my gosh, I totally forgot to get out the angel cards because you know I do angel card readings here on the show. Okay. Da, 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 da. I do have them. They are not packed. I've got them. I've got them. I've got them. They're like in Greece, you know, when Jan has the candy bars up her sleeves. Okay, I don't know. Silly stuff. All right, so I'm getting ready to do an angel card reading for you. But I want to tell you what Gallimaufry means. Gallimaufry is actually probably, it's a food like goulash. It's kind of like, you know, put in everything you've got. Got a cat hair on me, baby. You know, cat hair is my life. It can be hard to be a woman with cat hair, you know, and lipstick. There. Okay. Gallimaufry is like a bunch of stuff put together, a catch-all, like goulash, or like a melange, if you will. So, you know, I was thinking, I've been promising for weeks now that I would tell you a little bit about what Sarah Jones suggested, including interesting to see you give more information on your craft, the differences between the gifts, and if and how they manifest themselves through people who aren't as in tune. So I've been promising that for weeks, and I haven't done it. So today we're going to do it. We're going to see how intuitive you are and what kind of stuff that I do. So it's very cool stuff. And I hope you'll stick around and see what you can learn. Okay. I'm using the Good News deck, the Good News only deck of cards to start with. Okay, so we're going to get the perfect card for you today. And remember, every card in this deck is good news only. Cannot be interpreted to mean anything else. So you cannot pull a card from this deck and say, oh no, I'm scared, that's bad news. This is a perfect deck, and it is available on my website, mojomedium.com. It is available for purchase for you to learn to use yourself. And it's a great way to communicate with spirit and to help you get the good news that you need. You know, you can start out on a Monday and go, oh man, I really need to know something I get to look forward to. And one of the main reasons that I created these cards, that I was inspired to create them, is that I had people ask me on the Facebook Phenom or free readings on Facebook, and even on private readings, people would ask me, oh, is there anything I have to look out for? What do I have to be worried about? What do I need to prepare for that's bad? That's coming? I'm like, good grief, you know. If you look for the bad, you find the bad. If you look for the good, you find the good. So this is good news only, all right? So here we go. This is your card for today. Interesting. Interesting. After what I just said, what do I need to worry about? Today's card is relief from worry. I love this card. I love this card because relief from pain and relief from worry are two of the greatest feelings that you can have. So what this is saying to me specifically for you is that you get good news about something you've been worried about. It's not just a matter of, oh, you know, you learn to meditate and be relieved of worry, or you take a nature walk and find that you feel less worried. This is actually meaning that you get good news about something you're worried about. So medical tests could be that you get good results that are, you know, that your test comes back negative for something scary, or even something that's not terribly scary, you know, that it turned out it was just a mole and not squamous cell carcinoma. So relief from worry, that's coming in the next day or two, maybe later in the week. And when that card means something to you and you've watched this, comment below and tell me what that means to you, okay? If you want to do it right now and it hasn't happened yet, the relief hasn't happened yet, then just tell me what it is that you're worried about and say, oh, good, now I know that, hold on a second. Now I know that it's going to be okay, okay? So comment below with that, or comment below later on and say, you said I would get relief from worry. Well, sure enough, the test came back negative, or, you know, the dog got well from the heartworms and survived the treatment. I don't know. I'm making stuff up. There will be another card reading later, so please stay tuned. Okay, let's talk about Gallimaufry here on the MoJo Show. Gallimaufry. Okay, one of the things that I want to talk about in my Gallimaufry is about MoJo. Now, there haven't been a lot of questions. I think people think that they know what MoJo means. And so I want to talk about what MoJo means to me. Okay, first of all, it is the first two letters of both of my last names. My last name since I got married is Morrow-Johnson. I wanted to keep the Morrow, which is my late husband's name. Nicole, actually, let's see here. You said you're too concerned with two things. First, the money for my operation and if I pass these assessments with TAFE. Okay, cool. Well, so those are the things you're worried about. You will get relief from that worry. That's what the card is telling you. Okay, so thanks for letting me know what you're worried about. And for those who are watching who are inclined to pray or to send out love and light, perhaps they can share that with you. So I want to ask you to do that. The other things, and of course, Nicole, you'll need to let us know when your worries are relieved. The other thing I would like to ask you to do, all of you, is to, thank you, is to please share this video. Whenever you see it, please share it with your friends who are interested in clairvoyance and angel card readings and better life and spirituality and fun things. I hope we always have fun. Okay, so back to the MoJo. So it is my name, Morrow and Johnson. I wanted to keep Morrow, which honors my late husband and his parents, and my children who are named Morrow. And then I also wanted to honor my current husband, who is Johnson. Yes, I'm married to Don Johnson. That's right. Don Johnson is my husband. Not that Don Johnson. My Don Johnson. So my last name is Morrow-Johnson. So Mo is the beginning of Morrow, and Joe is the beginning of Johnson. So MoJo makes a lot of sense, right? Then the word MoJo really means your essence, or kind of what makes you you. Okay. Now, thanks to Austin Powers, it came to mean sex appeal, which is great. I don't mind being thought of as somebody who has sex appeal with my naturally curly hair. So MoJo really means what makes you you, what makes you cool, what makes you attractive to others, what makes you sing and sparkle and shine. And what's so great about that is not that I'm doing that, but that I help you do that. Okay, that's what I do with my clients. So I give readings, and then those who want to go deeper than a reading every once in a while. Now, I do have clients who get readings 3, 4, 5, 6 times a year, and that's great. But those who want to go deeper, sign up on my Shining Star program, which is my VIP program. And it's in that we bring out your MoJo. So it's called the Star because I'm your personal intuitive director, and I help you become the star of your own life. And one of the first things that we work on, and I'll give you a little tidbit here of what we work on in Shining Stars. The first thing that you have to learn is that you really are the center of the universe. I want you to stop waiting in the wings and take center stage, right? But so many people feel like they've been told since they were knee-high to a grasshopper that they're not the center of the universe, that the world doesn't revolve around them, and that, most recently, people like to say, it's not about you. It's not about you. It's not all about you. Well, you know what? It is. Your life is all about you. Your life is all about you. Your universe does revolve around you. Your world revolves around you. And everything about you starts with you. So once you grasp that MoJo and you really hang on to what you are and who you are and what you have to offer the world, then you can start to give. But until you go within and figure those things out and develop your own mojo and figure out who you are, you really aren't very much help to other people. Now, if you're already partway there, if you already feel like you're helping people, and by the way, most of my clients say, I just want to help people. I hear that all the time. When people are making a job change or a career change or going to school or whatever, they go, oh, I just want to help people. And that is, of course, admirable, and it is very human. That's something that we really want to do. And there's a reason for that. And that's, we were all put here on this earth to help each other. And so the way to help others, and here's another little jewel, the way to help others is to figure out what you love to do and to do it. Okay? No matter what it is, even if you think, well, I'm really good at accounting, but how does that help others? It doesn't matter. It does help others. When you do you, when you let your mojo show, see what I did there? That's how you help others. That's how it helps others. I did a little meme a while back, and I'll have to look it up and post it below for you. It says that every talent developed and used blesses the talented. Wait a minute. Blesses the giver and the receiver. Anyway, I'll look it up and see what my beautiful pearls of wisdom are that I can't even recall right now. Mercury retrograde. Boo. Yeah. So the idea is that when you use your talents, your gifts, and you share them with the world, you are served as well as others are served. And there is balance. If we all did this, there would be balance. So that's what I work with my stars on. I help you become the star of your own life so that you can help others. People are attracted to stars, you know. People love to look at celebrities. Well, I'm not saying that you have to become famous and out there, because if you're shy, that doesn't work, does it? I want you to be you. You be you, you do you. All right. Now, on to what else? What are the gifts? Hi, Sheila. Oh, cool. Okay, so what showed up on the screen just now, it was just blank, but she actually was like, yeah. A bunch of thumbs up. Thank you. Love those thumbs up. Okay, where was I? Yes, the gifts, the differences between the gifts. This is great. This is another one from Sarah Jones. She's a brilliant teacher who follows me, and she always has these great ideas and suggestions. So I'm going to give her credit. Thank you, Sarah, and I hope she'll become one of my shining stars. All right, so the differences between the gifts. This is a great question. A lot of times people will say, what's the difference between a psychic and a medium? Or they don't even know to ask because they don't know that there's a difference. People will hear psychic, they'll hear psychic medium. They really don't know what the difference is. There are a bunch of different kinds of psychic gifts and clairvoyant type gifts, and I will tell you what they are. First of all, a psychic, as you probably know, is someone who can foretell the future, who can look into things that are not visible to the naked eye or obvious to other people and find out. For example, solving a crime. A psychic might be able to look at a crime scene and say, oh, the perpetrator was, looked like this. So they may be able to see the past in their mind's eye. They may be able to foresee the future. Now, I foretell the future, and I do foresee the future frequently. And started a long time ago. There was a game that I played when I was a child. Do you remember a card game called Concentration? Oh, wait a minute, I'm going to take down Gallimaufry because maybe that's weird to y'all. Remember a card game called Concentration? You take a deck of cards and you lay them all out in a grid or whatever. And did you play Concentration? You remember that? What you do is you turn over 2 cards at a time and you try to match the numbers. So you get 2 kings, you get 2 twos, you get 2 sevens or whatever, and you match them up and then you put them over here. You set them aside and those are yours. And then you leave gaps where those cards were. And then the other person draws 2 cards. And if they match, they get to keep them. If they don't match, you turn them over and put them back. And you remember where those were. In fact, I think they made a TV game show of this same thing. So So you draw a set, you turn over a 7, you turn over a king, they don't match, so you turn them back over. And you remember, oh, there was a 7 there, number 3 down and at the edge, and there's a king here, 5 down and 2 across, whatever. You try to remember, and that's why it's called concentration. You have to concentrate. Well, as a very young child, I was extremely good at this game. And I usually didn't have to remember I was really good at it. So now I see that is a psychic thing. Okay. So that can be called clairvoyance, seeing clearly. There's also clairaudience, hearing clearly. Clair means clear in French. Voyance is seeing, audience is hearing. Clairsentience is a clear feeling, and claircognizance, which is clear knowing. So those are the 4 clairs of psychic work. And people receive information differently. I see things in my mind's eye. I see and hear words. I hear thoughts. I have general feelings, like when I'm talking to someone on the other side, and we'll get to that in a minute. Sometimes they'll give me a feeling. And so then I'll express that to the client. Okay, so that's a psychic. Now, there are psychics who say they don't foretell the future. I read an article recently where a psychic who is actually very, very successful, and she does psychic business consulting, which I am getting ready to do. I'm getting ready to launch that as a service, which is pretty cool. So if you're an entrepreneur, take note. But she said, foretelling the future messes people up in bad ways. And I was like, what? If I can tell you that you need to watch out not to get hit by a bus, and you don't get hit by a bus because I tell you to watch out for it, how does that mess somebody up? I've been foretelling the future for years and years and years, long before I became a professional psychic. And I believe in foretelling the future. I do. I think that's what you go to a psychic for. You also come to me for looking into relationships. So I look at the person that you're talking about, whether it's your boyfriend, your husband, your mom, your sister, your friend. I can tell you where that person's coming from. Things that you don't know about them. So let's say you're having a conflict of some sort. I can say, well, it's because he doesn't understand X, Y, and Z that you're talking about, and here's how you can help. A medium is someone who talks to dead people, plain and simple. A medium is the telephone, which is the medium, between the living and the dead. Okay, so that's a medium. Every medium is a psychic. You have to be psychic in order to be a medium, but not every psychic is a medium. Okay, so some psychics don't talk to dead people. They aren't able to, or don't know how to. So, plain and simple. I am both a psychic and a medium. Okay, then there's something called a channel. Now, there is a very famous woman named Esther Hicks who channels, or as she calls it, interprets a group of non-physical entities who represent source energy that she calls Abraham, or they call themselves Abraham. And so if you've ever heard of Abraham or Abraham Hicks, it's Abraham-Hicks, HICKS.com. And definitely look into them. I love Abraham. But Esther Hicks interprets them. And so she is what I call a channel. A channel is somebody who allows a non-physical entity to use their body and their voice to communicate on their behalf. Okay? So I've done some channeling. I'm not real crazy about that feeling of having someone in my body. And so I have done some channeling where I take cosmic dictation. That is, I close my eyes, I ask the question, and I type. I'm an excellent typist, so it works out really well. So I've done some of that. I don't do much of that anymore. Let's see. What's the other? Is there another thing? There's the psychic, the medium, the channeling. Okay, so I talked about the clairs. There are also, of course, angel cards, which you're familiar with, which I've done lots of with you. And there's also tarot cards, of course, which you're familiar with. Now, tarot cards are interesting. I don't do tarot cards because two reasons. They look scary to me. And the second reason is that I don't have the patience to learn them. But here's an interesting thing. I got a couple of readings from a tarot card reader who learned in Jackson Square in New Orleans from an older man who was a great tarot reader. And she was very good. And she told me something really interesting that actually wound up serving me as well. She said that her mentor told her, the cards are for the client. The cards are not for you. You already know what's going on. But the cards are to show the client and to help you express the information that they need to receive. I thought that was real interesting. Let's see here. There is psychometry, I think it's called, or yeah, it's where you hold an object, where somebody comes in and says, oh, well, this was my husband's mouse, and he's missing. And then I would hold the mouse and go, well, there's energy that's related to your husband on the mouse. And so I can tell you information about that. I do some of that. I've done some. But since I do most of my readings most of my work by Skype and phone, then there's not much chance to do that. And I don't have to hold an object to connect with the energy. Okay. That brings us to another question. Okay, let's see what time it is. Oh, we're doing great. We're doing great here. Another question that I get asked here, and don't forget, I'm going to do another angel card reading in a minute. Another question I get asked is, how can you read for somebody who's not sitting right in front of you? How can you read long distance or on Skype or by the phone or, whatever? And that's a fair question. I think people who have had in-person readings feel like there is that physical connection. And sometimes it can be really helpful to hold someone's hands, to do a reading, hold their hands, put your hands on their head. Or maybe if you're doing healing, you need to lay hands on that person. Wow, did my hands look really huge? I have very large hands. Okay. So how can I read for somebody long distance? The way that my gifts work is that I connect with energy no matter where it is. Energy is not in a place. Okay? If that makes sense. Energy is not in a place. Energy is everything and everywhere, and we're all connected. And so I tune in to your angels and guides as well as my own. I tune into all that is. I tune into people who have passed, who have familiarity with you. We never sit down with a client and have somebody pop up. Oh, look, here's Joe. Joe wants to tell you to, buy the red car. And you go, who the hell is Joe? That doesn't happen. We always hear from people you know. So the idea that you have to be somewhere near me is immaterial. You can be sitting on my lap, or you can be sitting in Australia, like Nicole. Hi, Nicole. You could be in Australia. You could. Thanks, Jillian. I hope you're laughing at the fact that you could be sitting on my lap, and not at the fact that I just hit the microphone again. So it doesn't matter where you are. I've done, remember I mentioned the taking cosmic dictation? I used to do that for email readings, for people I've never met before. In fact, you see I've got my lovely display set up here. One of those books over there, Channel 1, it has a new cover now, so I'm not even going to bother showing it to you. But Channel 1 is a compilation of those messages that I channeled for people when I was doing that channeling thing. So those readings were email readings for people I'd never met, that all I had was a first name and an email address. Didn't even know what town they were in most of the time. Not everybody, but most of them. They were strangers. So I just want you to understand that the energy is everywhere. It's not even everywhere. It's every when. It's everything. It's everywhere. It's just a matter of me connecting to it. So it doesn't matter where you are. Okay. I think we're going to go ahead and do a quick angel card reading. If you have questions about what I do or how my gifts work, comment below and I'll answer them. I would love to do that. And I want to remind you again, if you would please share my video with your friends. Tell them this lady's really cool and sometimes she's funny and talks about sitting on her lap. Okay, I've got now the deck of the Tomorrow Oracle cards, which, yeah, took me 6 months to figure out to call them that. Just like it took me 6 months to figure out to call myself MoJo. Durr. Okay, so the Tomorrow deck is more like a traditional deck of angel cards. These are Doreen Virtue's Magical Mermaids and Dolphins, which I really like also. You can get Oracle cards at the bookstore or online. I like Doreen Virtue's best, but there are lots of them out there. Deepak Chopra has some, Sonia Choquette, Abraham Hicks that I mentioned earlier. There are lots and lots of choices. You need to get the cards that resonate with you. So depend on the book fairy. Go in there to Barnes and Noble and go into their new age section or spirituality section, and go, oh look, here are all these neat something like that, and pick some angel cards. And they all come with instructions, including mine. Doreen's come with a little book. You can learn how to read them. They tell you how to lay them out. The way that I learned was intuitively. I pulled out the cards. I kind of glanced through the book, which is actually kind of how I do a lot of things. Yeah, I glanced at the instructions. I got this. And then I laid out the cards and started reading them. And one time I took some regular playing cards, which is called cartomancy. That's a way of divination and fortune telling using regular playing cards. And I can read those too. In fact, gosh, a long time ago, it was back in Austin, so it was before 2010. I read some regular cards for my daughter, and I saw Paris in those cards. And a couple of years later, my mom planned a trip to Paris for me and my daughter and herself. As it turned out, my daughter did not get to go, but I did. Paris! Okay. So the Tomorrow cards are more like traditional angel cards. They are about helping you get what you need to know, helping you to know what you need to know. Okay, so what do we got today? Let it go, let it be. Oh my gosh, I know what this means for me. Okay, but for you, when I say they're telling me, I'm talking about your angels and guides and mine. So for you, it is about something that's happened recently that was a conflict of between you and another person, or maybe more than one person. Could have been at work. Could have been at the drive-through. It could have been as a conflict. I mean, it's something that you really you can't miss it. It's a conflict. Okay, so you know what I'm talking about. This conflict that's happened recently. The card's just saying it's time to let it go. Just leave it alone. If you need to, and if this serves you, turn it over to God. Turn it over to God, universe, higher self. Let it go. Let go and let God, right? It is something you've just got to forgive. Forgive that person. Forgive yourself for engaging in the conflict, and move on and let it go. And you know, whatever you need to do, you may need to write something down about that. You might need to do some journaling, a little meditation. You know, you might do something. This is a cool thing. Let me give you a little tip here. Okay, you know, my current Bible, and this could change. So my current Bible, Love-Based Money and Mindset by Michelle P.W. One of the exercises Hold on a second. I'm going to interrupt my train of thought to talk about Allie's comment. There was an episode of Bill Nye's new show where he discusses psychics. It says some not so nice things. He said, we all know Bill Nye, the science guy, right? Who I really like. He says that there's no connection between this and science. How do you, as a psychic medium, create that bridge between science and spirituality for skeptics? I hope that makes sense. It does make sense. Thank you. Yes, and I'm going to just make a quick note because I was talking about spring cleaning. So I don't want to forget that while I answer your question. Well, okay. First of all, if you watch The Secret, it's either The Secret or What the Bleep Do We Know? There are physicists on, I think, on both of those movies who talk about what they're discovering. And what I see from that, and that's been several years ago, obviously, but from that and even moving forward, science is becoming closer and closer to defining and proving God. Okay, they've got this thing called the God particle that they actually, both of those movies. Thank you, Julian. I thought there were physicists or scientists of some kind in both of those. So, there's the God particle, the Higgs boson, which is it was just a theory for a long time, and then they created the Large Hadron Collider in Switzerland and proved the existence of what they call the God particle. And it is the particle that makes mass possible. Okay. Without it, you can't have mass. So my dad loves to tell the joke about the Higgs boson that goes to the Catholic Church and goes in there, and the priest says, "Hey, get out of here. We don't allow Higgs bosons in here." And he says, "But how can you have mass without me?" All right. So, I didn't pull up my laugh track today, so we'll just have to pretend. Okay. So how do I, as a psychic medium, create that bridge? To me, there is no separation between God or spirituality or new age kind of things and science. To me, science is miraculous. Just because we can prove something doesn't mean it's not miraculous. And just because we haven't proven something yet doesn't mean it's not real. I mean, I think even Bill Nye would agree that actually a few hundred years ago, everybody thought the world was flat. So, in a very short time, it won't be hundreds of years, in a very short time, probably later this century, there will be proof of psychic connections. Now, y'all may know that, let me finish answering that question. Skeptics. Hardcore skeptics need not apply, okay? The ones who are dug in and say, "I will not believe it. I am an atheist. Seeing is believing. I absolutely will not buy it." I don't waste my time on such people. I'm not here to convince people that it's true. I don't need Bill Nye to tell me that I do or do not have the gifts that I know I have, right? So I work with people who may be a little skeptical, and that's fine. Come in a little bit skeptical and let me show you what's what. I have never given a reading where the person left thinking that I was not for real. At least as far as I know. As far as I know. And I do ask, do you think I'm for real? Yes, yeah. There's always that wow factor, right? There's always that aha moment where somebody's like, "Oh my God, how did you know that?" I did a reading a few months ago, maybe last year. And the woman said she wanted to talk to her mentor in heaven. He had passed away, but he was her mentor in life, and she missed him and she would like to talk to him. And I asked her his first name and she gave it to me. And I said, "He's showing me black priest robes. Was he a cleric?" "Yes." She said, "Yes, he was a bishop." And she's like, and I told y'all that wow moment a couple of weeks ago about the woman whose husband had been a police officer. And as soon as he tuned in, he told me that the pain in his lower left quad of his abdomen was gone. And she was like, "I don't know what that's about." And then down the line, later in the reading, she said, "Well, he was stabbed a couple of times." I said, "Where?" "Oh, in the lower left quad of his abdomen." So when you have things like this happen, and these are people I don't know, and I have no way of knowing these things, how does it work? I can't explain how it works. I just know that it does. Okay. Julian, you said people don't understand they create their own reality, atheist or not. Bingo. But what's really cool is there's room for everybody. You know, there is room for everybody. And I'm really glad that y'all, Allie, that you asked this, and Julian, that you mentioned that about both of those movies as well. That's in both of those movies, in The Secret and in What the Bleep Do We Know. It talks about how we create our own reality. And that brings me to, I did say this was going to be a Gallimaufry, right? We're going to talk about something else, and then I'll get to the spring cleaning. So one of the big questions that I have personally grappled with is it free will or is it destiny? Because if I can predict something, doesn't that mean it's set in stone? If I accurately predict something and it comes true, doesn't that mean that it was already destined to happen? Now, I grew up in the Presbyterian Church. I'm not a practicing Christian now, but I know about Christianity. I know about the Bible. I know about all these things. It's very useful, very helpful, and it certainly informs a lot of my beliefs now. So in the Presbyterian Church, they teach preordination, which means that we are preordained by God to do and be what we are. Okay? And I tend to think that destiny is true. It's a factor. However, I definitely believe that we create our own reality. So how does that work together? That we're destined to create what we create. I mean, if you just lie in bed and go, I'll just let destiny take care of it. Well, maybe you're destined to lie in bed and do nothing. But are you destined to create something? It does my head, I'm telling you. And I have spent a lot of time reading, studying, journaling, and meditating on this question. I have about figured out that it is mostly destiny with some free will thrown in. For example, there seem to be destiny points in everyone's life. So there are certain things that you will do regardless. Some of them are tied to time, to an age of you or an age of someone else, or a time in the calendar. Some of them are tied to a specific kind of time. Some of them are not. And the free will part and the creation part seems to be in how fast you get to the destiny point and how happy you are or how you feel on the way. So there's also, I don't know, it's complicated. I'd love to have a discussion with you. Speaking of discussions, this is so cool. So to do this show, I use BeLive.tv, which is an awesome, wonderful online software program to let me do this. It was fantastic. You can do a lot with it. And they have just started beta testing a talk show format. And so, Julian, you and maybe Allie and I should set up a talk show. We could talk about this. We can talk about destiny versus free will. That would be cool. Okay. So anybody else who would be interested in having that discussion, comment below. Always comment below and let me know that you would like to be part of the talk show. I'll have you on my show. You'll be on the MoJo show as a guest. It'll be so exciting. And I don't know how it works, but we'll make it work. Okay. All you need is a computer with a camera and internet. All right. Back to the angel card reading. I talked about the conflict. We're going to talk about spring cleaning. And even though I love interacting with y'all, I'm going to go ahead and tell you about this. Once again, I got this from my Bible of the day, which has been my Bible since January. And you've heard me talk about it a million times. And someday, maybe I'll move on, or someday maybe I won't. But it's called Love-Based Money and Mindset by Michelle P.W. And one of the exercises in that is called spring cleaning. And this is when you have a problem, when something's eating you up, and you can't seem to let it go or let it be, like our card today was. You take that to a friend, set the timer for 15 minutes, and the friend has to be, cannot judge, cannot counsel, cannot coach. The friend listens and says, what have you got about the conflict? And you spew, okay? Well, I went to the drive-thru the other day, and there was this woman in front of me, and then she did this, and then this happened, and then I went up there, and I was pissed, and so then I went and blah, blah, blah. 15 minutes. Sorry. You set the timer for 15 minutes, but you just talk until you're done. And then the other person says, thank you. What do you have on the conflict? And then you say, well, then this blah, 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 blah. And what you're supposed to do is dig deeper and say, I started thinking, well, maybe I wasn't worthy of having a Frappuccino. And I just got all upset about this. And I thought, well, why am I even spending my time on this and my money? It's very expensive. And so then I thought, well, maybe I'm not, And the other person says, thank you. What do you have on the conflict? Well, one thing that made me realize, and you go as deep as you can until you're done, until the timer goes off. Then the person who's with you, who's doing the exercise with you, says, you have 3 more chances. What do you have on the conflict? And you get to go 3 more times. Okay. Then if the other person wants to, they get to do the same thing. But the other person is just not even a sounding board, just a listener, just a listener. And all they say is, thank you. What do you have on? So it may be your boss, it may be the car wreck, it may be, the TV, whatever the problem is. That person says, thank you. What do you have on the blah? Okay. That's the spring cleaning exercise. I haven't had a chance to try it yet, but I think it would be very interesting. Okay. So that's for letting go and letting it be. Okay. That's a good exercise to help you with that. If you don't have someone to bounce off of or to sit with you and to be trusted and listen, you could try spring cleaning with journaling and let the journal be your listener. You could do that. And then ask and write it down. Thank you. What do you have on the conflict? Okay. Phew. All right. Well, I think we're about ready to wrap up. I really appreciate you coming to the MoJo Show with Susan K. Morrow, your friendly neighborhood MoJo. I want to ask you, thanks, Julian. I can't take credit for it. As you know, I stole it from my Bible. All right. So thank you very much. Love the thumbs up, likes, the heart loves, the oh wows, and the smiley faces if you think I'm funny, which I'm not often, but I did make Julian laugh. All right. Next week, I actually don't know yet what we're going to do. So if you have ideas, feel free to share below, comment below what you'd like to see next week, and we'll talk about that. In the meantime, please share the video. I really appreciate you being here. I appreciate you, because without you, I wouldn't have any reason to be here. And I like having a reason to be here. I like my mojo, and I like your mojo, and I can't wait to see you next week. Until then, I remain Susan K. Morrow-Johnson, your Mojo Medium, mojomedium.com. Be good.